Hey guys, welcome back to the JM Investing YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down Deere and Company, or otherwise known as John Deere. Um, Hopefully just a quick enough wee video, running through some of the financials, the reasons why I've bought some John Deere, whether I'm keeping that, selling it, or buying more. I'm going to fully disclose all of that in the video, and just give you a rundown on it. So before we dive any deeper, remember you can get yourself a free share down in the description of this video. That'll be with Trading 212. There's also links for eToro. You can get free money on Coinbase if you're into cryptocurrencies. Everything you will need to sort of operate financially on your laptop or your phone or whatever you're looking to do. All the links will be down in the description, so check them out and help support the channel. So diving into Deere and Company. Deere and Company is like an industrial slash sort of like farm equipment or like heavy plant machinery. So that is what they do. Deere and Company, it's one that jumped onto my sort of radar last year. Obviously everyone, most people will have heard of John Deere in terms of, like tractors and farm equipment. It's quite sort of famous. The famous green, as everyone knows it for. But it jumped onto my radar as I was reading through earnings reports, and also if you've seen here over the last year, they had a really solid year, minus the dip. So there's where they were pre-COVID, minus the dip, which wasn't as extreme as other companies, but ever since the recovery sort of started, they have had a gradual rise all of last year. No matter when I looked at them last year, they'd always sort of increased from the last time I had looked. So they were added into my watch list, and I sort of expected to keep an eye on them. So I finally bought into it last year. Not too much money, obviously, as my portfolio isn't of the largest at the minute, but I bought in nonetheless. And I've had a few questions on YouTube comments and stuff asking, why John Deere. It's quite a strange stock to a few people, but it is a really good stock. The one thing I will say is most people will see straight away the dividend yield at 1% isn't the best. Now, bear in mind where they were that last year the dividend yield would have been a lot better, but what the dividend yield is being worked on is the current price. So obviously if we've had a big rise gradually over the last year and the dividend hasn't been increased, the yield is obviously dropping every time the price goes up. So the yield was better. So my hope is that John Deere are obviously looking to increase that dividend in the years to come. So my one sort of negative to this stock is there's a low dividend yield at the minute, but from every negative there's a positive. And if you look at that, well, if the company's making more money and more people are buying stock, the company has more money to grow, and reinvest in the company. They're not paying it all out in form of a dividend. So yes, I'm calling that a negative, but to some people they will see that as a positive. So we're going to dig in. You can see here that in the last, where's the best place to do this? So if we go into statistics, yeah, so this is what I'm looking here. So you can see here that the 52-week range were up 71%. It's outperforming the S&P 500, as you can see also. I'm looking for the stock price history. Yeah, so 52-week low of 106, obviously just as COVID really hit in, and we're at a high of 306. So another slight negative is that you're just under all-time highs, which will have been around maybe just a wee bit before. So 306, you were hitting all-time highs last Thursday, and they've obviously taken a wee dip. So if you're looking at that all-time high and thinking, not that it was expensive, but you recognized it as an all-time high, and maybe recognized that there was a dip coming, you might see this dip as people taking profit, or you might see it as like a buying opportunity. Now, yes, it does. I will say the stock does look slightly expensive. You have a PE ratio of 30, basically 34 there, which isn't classed as cheap by any means, but you can tell, as I showed you there with the yield, that the stock has, it does look quite expensive at the minute, for especially the dividend you're getting paid back. Now, you're investing obviously in the company. As Warren Buffett once says, invest in a wonderful business or a wonderful company. Don't just think you're buying a stock, to earn money straight away and that's all it's for. You want to invest as if would you buy the whole company? And John Deere, that's something I'm very confident on, and there's two main reasons for it. So what the first one is that John Deere is very, very focused, and they're very well known for being high quality products. Their tractors, their farm equipment, their heavy plant machinery. People will pay a premium to own a John Deere. So there's obviously other alternatives in all the industries that they're in, but farmers and plant machinery workers, if it is acceptable in terms, if yes it might be a wee bit dear, but if the price is within an acceptable range, they will pay a premium to own John Deere, especially in certain areas of America. John Deere is seen as like a religion. Farmers will only farm with John Deere equipment. Some of these farms have maybe 10 tractors and 3 or 4 other different vehicles for different farm purposes, and every single one of them will be John Deere. They might have other dealerships and other manufacturers coming in and offering them special deals, to try and get such a big farm to flip to go to other manufacturers. And it's not even just what color, what price it is, it's the brand. There's so much brand loyalty because of the high quality that John Deere is renowned for. So the first reason is the high quality. They're focused on producing high quality goods that do a job and do a job well. And that's a company that you want to be involved with. A wee bit of quality over quantity. Yes, quantity is important, but the quality is what the name is built on. So that's my first reason: the quality, the focus they put into quality, and the end good, and how much good reviews it gets all around the world, no matter where you are. And off the back of that, brand loyalty. So the brand loyalty that farmers and other plant machinery users are giving John Deere, and the both of them sort of work hand in hand. The reason they're so loyal to John Deere and they wouldn't drive anything else is because of the quality. They wouldn't have anywhere near the same loyalty if every day they were at work they had to get out, fix things. This was broke, let them down, they had to get a new tractor. The loyalty is built on the back of quality. So these two things go hand in hand, hence why John Deere is so focused on keeping that quality, because it induces and it maintains that high brand loyalty, which so many people have all around the world. And that, once I started looking into the company and digging a wee bit deeper, just in behind Yahoo Finance, there's more to a stock than just what you see in the financials. You really want to know what business you're investing in, and really what makes that company what it is today. And I think that's probably the most important two things for John Deere. Now, it's obviously a really good benefit that the stock is really good performing. It's a really good stock. What I'm actually going to show you here is you can see they have a decent profit margin of 7.75%. Revenue per share at 113. Diluted. I'm obviously just running through this live, so just bear with me. So what I want to show you is the holders. So the holders of a stock sometimes gives you an insight to confidence. If you're seeing here in the top holders a load of names that you don't recognize, sometimes can be sort of like a put off. It would be to me anyway, but you can see here that the top holder is the Vanguard Group. Now Vanguard, if you don't trust Vanguard, in my opinion, you don't trust anyone. So you can see here that they own 22.2 million shares of John Deere. Now that's a colossal amount. You can see others like JP Morgan, Bank of America, top mutual funds, obviously all the Vanguard funds, Fidelity, First Eagle, Vanguard again, fundamental investors. These are all huge, well sort of known street names to do in the investing community. The only negative I see looking through the holders of John Deere stock is that a small percentage is held by insiders, which to me, if the people working in John Deere were extremely confident on their product, to me that number would be a wee bit higher. That's the sort of one question mark I've got there. Sort of the insider percentage is quite low. You can see here shares owned as of transaction date. So these are all just awards. You can see that a few have been selling. I like to see when you go on and you see maybe the CEO and his other staff buying stock, but obviously they have to sell at some point. You can see he owns nearly 10,000. Who's this? James Field owns 93,000 shares. That's a crazy amount. Chief Financial Officer. I'm trying to look for CEO, Chief Technology Officer. Not on that, but we'll move on anyway. So analysis. Yeah, so here's the analysis view on the stock. So you can see here, there's something in here that I really do like. So you can see all their estimates. This is all sort of earnings per share. You can see that it's growing. Especially here, you can see 2021 January what they think, and then growing out to April, and then there's a big jump here to 869 and then 1304. So this is represented here. So sales growth of 8.5%, 27% in the next quarter. So they're expecting a high jump on sales. Current estimates, you can see it's all that's earnings per share trend. You can see that they're expecting later on this year for a spike in the earnings. I'm not actually 100% sure on why that is, but it seems to be a common trend throughout this sort of analysis tab. Also, there's a buy recommendation on it. In terms of my view, whether to buy, hold, or sell, I do like this stock. I would buy, but I would be skeptical of the current pricing. So if we look back over the year, yes, we've had a wee sort of pullback, very smally from 306 or whatever, but there has been consistent growth there. What I would recommend is bear in mind I'm not a financial advisor, so do not buy if I say buy, but in terms of me, I'm recommending to myself that I buy. But what I'll be doing is, rather than just launch in now with all the money I want in John Deere, what I'm going to do is going to drip feed it. So I'm going to dollar cost average in, just in case there's a dip or there's a rise. I'm sort of getting in at an average price, which if you see a trend like this and you really want into the stock, I would always recommend not just launching in at what you see at the top line here, unless there's a real compelling reason to do so. So what I would recommend in this instance is that you start to dollar cost average. It gives you a wee added safety net. If you're investing every week or every month, they're going to be at a fluctuating price. So you're going to get an average of that price rather than just launching in maybe at the top, and that price might not recover back to that price for a year, 6 months, whatever. It gives you a wee bit of peace of mind. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But obviously, please do your own research before investing in any stock. So quickly we'll run through the revenues. Seeing there was obviously a wee bit of growth coming up through here. It's taken a sort of step back, obviously due partly to COVID. Research development, they're still sort of staying consistent. A wee bit of an increase there gradually, which is also good to see. Wee bit of less tax coming, obviously, with the reduced earnings from COVID. Earnings per share has been increasing quite nicely. Diluted earnings per share all increasing, which is a really good sign for John Deere. So just to sort of summarize, I really like this stock. Really think it's a good stock to own long term. As the previous points I've touched in this video, the brand loyalty and the high quality that you're getting Earnings per share of 869. PE ratio obviously a wee bit expensive, maybe you could say. Hence my recommendation for sort of getting in at an average price. Bear in mind, I have been buying in gradually, but my first initial purchase was somewhere in this region here, towards the Q4 of 2020, which obviously I'm enjoying this nice wee spike here. But you can see with every wee increase there's a dip. So if we're right at all-time highs, expect a wee dip, and it could be seen as a buying opportunity if the trend is to continue. But that's for each and every one of you to make up your own mind and sort of project what you think this stock is going to do. The one thing I would like to see before getting heavier into John Deere is what they're going to do with their dividend growth. You can see here that Dividend Max, they actually predicted that the dividend was going to grow out to 83 cent, which to me would have been realistic. You know, they've had a huge stock rise. They've also had a solid enough year. Yes, COVID was probably the reason for them declaring just the same dividend. But you can see here they don't seem to have a trend for increasing their dividend. They seem to go, what's that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've no consistent trend. It can be a good thing. Maybe potentially not for investors that are just looking dividend returns, but what it shows, they're actually making a decision what is right for the company maybe at that time. So they've been paying the 76 cent for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 consecutive quarters. So hence why maybe they thought there was a dividend increase to come. They've predicted it before and it didn't arise. So hopefully in the quarters to come we see a dividend increase which will lift up that dividend yield. But the way I look at it now is, yes, you're buying it at quite a low yield with the 1%, but if we buy in now and the stock is valued at what it is today, and say next quarter or later on in the year John Deere do announce an increase in dividend, the price is obviously going to reflect that. The price is going to go up, so there's no point waiting on a higher yield, in my opinion, for for Deere and Company. It's not an amazing yield, but you have to remember that the money they're not paying you, they're paying back into the company to make the company more valuable. The enterprise value is going to rise, and this stock price will hopefully continue to climb. So that's been my sort of review on Deere and Company. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so it hasn't been too in-depth. My view here is to sort of come across to the beginner investor. That's what I was last year, starting out, and I wanted someone to just tell me how it was. Didn't say, oh, you have to buy this now, sell this. I wanted someone to just come across, show me a stock. I would be able to watch the video and make my own view on it. Give me the facts, put something in front of me, and let me make my own mind up. So that's what I'm trying to do now for the investing community. So if you appreciate it, please drop me a subscription on the channel. You've no idea how much it means to me. Every single subscription and viewer and like counts. It really does at this stage. I appreciate it all. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to use all the links in the description. Get yourself free shares. You'd be really silly not to. On Trading 212, and there's other platforms down there. And just before I leave you, there's also a Patreon page for JM Investing. Go over, show some support, and there's multiple different levels. Have a wee read, and if you fancy becoming a Patreon, I would really appreciate it. But I'll catch you in the next video. Let me know down below in the comments of what stock you're looking at, and I might break it down for you in the next video. I'm always open to suggestions. I don't even mind doing stocks that I'm not, I don't necessarily believe in. I think they're bad stocks. I'm putting it out there and letting you people know that. So any suggestion whatsoever, drop it down below and I might do it in a later video. So again, thank you for watching and have a good day.